Hey guys, California Gunner here with a review on the Hornady Lock Load AP press. Now, may not be able to see it in that position there, but I'll see if I can show you in a little bit. I bought this because one, I didn't save my money for a Dillon. The expandable functions of this with a brass feeder, a primer feeder, a powder feeder, and a bullet feeder was appealing because it costs less than a Dillon. You can buy regular dies. Oops, sorry. You can buy regular dies, put these collets on them, and they just, once they're set, they just snap in. And what I have in here right now, well, I have this set is a Hornady 30-06. And I'm kind of showing you guys what's going on with this because this thing's a pain in the ass. Now, it's a pain in the ass for 30-06. It makes good rounds, but what I have to do to get good rounds out of it is a lot of trouble. And I say that because as a progressive, you want to, once you're set and you're ready to go, you put the brass, you put the bullet, you just crank, and every crank gives you a round, a nice round. And like I said, it does produce great rounds. Now that it's set, I do have a Lee factory crimp die here, and I have an expander die right here. Move this just a little bit, like so. So these two are the odd ones out, but these two, once they're set, they're really good. Okay? Now you may notice that back here there's supposed to sit a primer tube, like so. And what I found is, with this particular unit, is it doesn't seat the primers correctly so that they're flush or below that. See that wobble in that? Just come down a little bit again. Sorry, guys. So this guy has a little bit of wobble to it because the primer sticks out a little bit. Now, this is typically what happens, and the reason why this happens is because as we sit here, is that MP 3.6? These are already primed because I didn't want to mess with it. I usually have to hit it with the super ancient Lee hand primer here to get them to sit flush. So we come down, but you'll notice that as you push in, the whole shell plate moves just a little bit. You may not be able to see it on this camera here, and I apologize, but what it's doing is it's pressing the seating pin over here, and it makes it move just a little bit, and it doesn't seat all the way. So then I have to come through here, take this, push it up, and at that point, still not seating flat, but now it's standing better, so we have to finish it up with that device over there. Okay, so overall, this is a very sturdy unit. Overall, this is a good unit. Once it gets set up, it takes about an hour to go through all the dies. And you do one stage at a time, set up the powder measure for the brass, and even with this, there's a huge gap in here so that the brass comes up. But it functions fine. I had to, for 30-06, I had to raise this die up out of the nut to get all this to push up farther so that this locking ring was actually halfway off. So I finally got it set up with the right insert as well to come up onto the threads, and it grips on the threads. That functions actually pretty good, but it doesn't really work great with stick powder. So it works great with ball powder. From that point, one of the major problems is, and I will show you, is right? I'll do that. I'll take that out. Push forward, Goes up, throws the powder charge, and it's pretty consistent powder too. There's about 0.5 grains variance. And if you're, you know, you can buy better dials for your powder flow. You can buy better dials and the micro adjusters and the micrometers. But I tend to be more of a combat style shooter where, you know, 4 rounds down and 3 in, that's great. It's not accurate at all, but that's the way I have fun. So we have a powder charge, we have a primer, we flare the mouth, and this is the problem here. We take the bullet, put it in there, that's great. This has a little follower in there, which sits below the level. So if you can see that, I'll see if I can get a telephoto. Yeah. Right like so. And that noise in the background is this heater because my man cave is extremely cold. So it comes up and smacks against that. Just like that. So this is my big peeve. Any caliber rifle that is over 51 millimeters, you're going to have a potential. Also, you're going to have a potential of smacking into the little feeder die here, the feeder cone right there. And set that on right. So that sets it like so. And it's right where I want it, right in the cantilever. And it does a really good job of that. But this is a Hornady die designed for these guys. And if I raise this up any higher, I can't go. Let's see if I can back this out. Bring it up. If I raise this whole thing up any higher, I don't have enough thread left to seat the bullet properly. And to my knowledge, I just don't have any type of seater in there that'll work. It's really weird why they would do this. I think this might also work with the bullet feeder, but I'm not positive on that one. Anyway, so here's a huge problem. Now, I don't have an RCBS. Actually, I have 2 Hornady bullet seaters. If we tried a different bullet seater, it may function better. So a different set other than Hornady might possibly be a better device. It's unknown, but it has to be flush to the bottom, down here. It has to be flush to the bottom of the die shelf, of the plate shelf here. Otherwise, that bullet will smack against that. So the other thing too is, now this is just because I'm using an extra die here. I'm going to bring this in a little bit more. And you see that guy right there. And you watch. Alright, bonk. Oh, hey. Smacks against that guy. Alright, so this is my gripe right here. Alright, but beautiful round 30-06. Oh yeah. Come on, focus. Look at that. Oh baby. That is so nice. Anyway, so I'm going to show you what I have to do. I have somebody who's trying to buy this off of me so I can go buy a Dillon, but I'm not going to subject him to them. There's also the problem with the Hornady here is it uses this little rod to activate. I don't know if you can see it. There's a right back here. There is a lever that is pushed back, grabs a primer, and then it comes up, hits against this bar, pushes back, grabs a primer, and then feeds back forward, and then you force your case on top of it. Well, this little black arm right here has a stem on it. Okay, so what I have is, this is a replacement piece that holds. You'll see that there's a rounded end and there's a flat end. The rounded end goes into a little knurled rounded cup, so it has room to kind of move around and flex just a little bit. This part goes into, let's see if I can get this end here. Let's hold on. This part, oh, that's much better, goes in here, just like so. But the problem is that there's just the top piece of plastic pushing on it, because that's how much goes in. See that? Which is almost the full length of this little pin here. The problem is that when you set it in that little cup, it drops down about yay far. So that when that little lever hits it, this springs up and the rounded part comes out of the cup and the whole thing falls apart. And jams up, and you gotta stop, and you gotta figure out by jamming a large primer in here, a spent primer in here, you can create enough tension on here to this thing starts to act as a spring, because you're pushing up on it and it's bolted down on top. Well, what I did was I finally sat down and I drilled a hole all the way through with a number 16 drill bit, and then tapped it with a 1224 thread tap. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'll see if I can get this here. Yep. And that guy right there. And what we'll do is we'll go boink. See that? That's a tensioning knob now. The rod goes in underneath, and you tighten this down so it lifts up. And you can barely make out that there's this fender washer here. This doesn't come with the unit. I went out and bought this to create enough pressure on this whole piece of plastic to keep it from just snapping off or becoming useless. So this tension's down on top of the rod, this way, like so, underneath, and it finally holds it in place. So I don't know what's going on with other people that own this product, how they're having such a grand time of it, but it ain't working. And again, with the long or tall cases that I have for 30-06, I'm going to show you exactly what I have to do. Let's look down. Right? So, put a piece of brass in. Now shift it over because it's already sized, it's already reprimed. Load another one. Full stroke. Right? Powder. I got 2 on there. Load another one. Full stroke. Okay, we got 3 on there. Now we add the bullet. So to do this, we have to put a brass in, hand rotate it, put the brass or the bullet in, seat, powder, flare, like so. Add a brass, turn by hand. It produces a nice round. You got it? Yeah, it produces a really nice round. Okay, but this is what I have to do. I have to hand turn this turret because there's 2 pawls on the bottom. When you pull the handle, it pushes the shaft this way, and when you push the handle, it pushes the shaft that way. So it indexes by doing this. Well, this one on this side, as it pushes the rotating shaft forward, there's a little gear down there, like little teeth on it, and the pawl comes through and pushes, and it turns. Well, this side is creating resistance for some reason, and you can adjust it up and down depending upon the throw. You know, if you're rotating far enough, you can bring it up if you're not, or push it down if you are, or if you're going too far. Well, mine sheared off the other day because when it goes forward, it gets a little resistance, and then you can just push it from there and reset it. Now, I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't figured it out. I took the pawl out, and you can spin everything by hand. There's no resistance. Take the plate off, take the nut out, so there's nothing here. You can raise it all the way up, spin the plate, or spin the shaft, and there's just nothing going on with it. But as soon as you put that pawl back down there and you push it forward, that it grabs onto that ring, it starts to press it, stops, and then pushes it again. And you can feel it, you can hear it, donk. And there's nothing in the way. And it's just that pawl, because when you take that pawl out, and you run just the other side, the right side, this is the left pawl, so you take the right side and leave that in and pull it, no problems whatsoever. So I know they're constantly improving probably to make these things work better, but this is somewhat unacceptable for this fact that I have to do this. This is taking my progressive reloader and turned it into the manual reloader. I don't understand how Hornady can't see something like this happening. And because when I called customer service, they had no clue what I was talking about. And I'm kind of wondering if it's something I'm doing, because I work with a lot of lanolin lube, lubrication, case lube, that I make myself. Yeah, again, what you're seeing is a manual progressive die. Now, when I was making Makarov in here, I did 1,000 rounds of Makarov in a couple of hours, and it handled them just fantastic. If it did, I did, I think, about 500 or 600 rounds of 9mm, fantastic. So it seems as though anything under or about 51mm or shorter, it'll handle it without an issue, and it'll be a freaking fantastic progressive. But 303 Brit, 7.62 by 54 Russian, 30-06, 270. I mean, anything that's got at least a 52mm and above, you're going to have problems depending upon this right here, that guy right there. If that comes down below the shelf here, the bullet's going to run into it. If you use a Lee, factory crimp, you're going to run into it. I'm going to set up I'm going to set up what's next, 308 next, and see if I can get my 7.5 by 54 French going as well, and see if I can use that in this. If I have to do the same thing, I'm kind of accustomed to it, but at this point here, it's a pain in the ass. If you have long cartridges like this, I wouldn't recommend it. I would buy a Dillon, $650 at least. Save your money, buy the Dillon, and you'll be happy. Now, because Hornady didn't make any suggestions like, oh yeah, we've heard of this problem that you're having, or yes, you know, you need to buy this particular die set for it to work and function flawlessly. You know, I don't know what to tell you. I use my experience as a word of warning. I haven't done anything under a 9x18 Makarov because I don't have anything. I have a 25 auto, but I don't really freaking want to reload for a 25 auto, even though I can with this thing. But it's like, it seems like a huge press for 25 auto. But anyway, that's just me. I don't know if I want to deal with that crap. I'd rather sell the 25 auto and not even have it. But anyway, guys and gals and people out there who are interested in the Hornady Lock and Load AP, these are the problems that I'm having. And the priming problem, the primer system, is really temperamental. It's very temperamental. If any dirt or grit gets in the priming pocket where the primer sits, it won't push it in far enough, and you end up crushing up a primer in there. Spilling any amount of powder on this thing, it gets under the plate. You got to pull the whole thing off. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to clean everything, and if longer, you have to take the entire priming section away, because you have to unscrew the priming tube, then you have to catch all the primers and try to save them, and just sometimes it's just best to do all the priming separate. Alright, gang, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, great. Subscribe if you want to. Talk to you later, YouTubers.